Word. Awesome. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our book launch. I am Onyinye Ede Vincent, the founder and lead strategist of the Adolescent and Youth Engagement Hub. So today we're going to be launching our very first resource guide, which I am so excited about. My son is sleeping in the background. Otherwise, I will be a lot louder than this. But when he wakes up, I won't be able to pay attention. And I'm just keeping fingers crossed that he sleeps long enough for me to get what I need to do done. But otherwise, you see me jump in and hear me scream because I'm really excited to be having this launch. But thank you for joining us. So as I said, I'm Onyinye Ede Vincent, and we're just going to be here for about an hour. Let's get this resource out there so that you know how to navigate UN high-level meetings as a young leader. But first things first, let me just give you the context. So we are the Adolescent and Youth Engagement Hub, which is a platform that is committed to showcasing thought leadership on youth engagement. We're also committed to educating young professionals on development, on careers and development, as well as providing technical insights for organizations that want to know how best to engage young people in their projects or in your organization. We're also here to amplify expert voices and youth perspectives. So on today's event, you're going to be hearing from some of the youth experts that we know that have attended UN meetings. We just like to amplify these voices so that we can learn from them. And then lastly, we're here to advocate for youth-centered policies. All right, so our mission, so, excuse me, let me quickly check on him. Okay, I think he's okay. Um, so our vision, the big picture, why do we exist? Our vision is that we want to see a world where young people are meaningfully engaged, where they're empowered and they're supported through responsive health systems and inclusive development programs. On a day-to-day basis, what we do in terms of our mission is that we're committed to amplifying expert perspectives, equipping young professionals, and supporting organizations in designing and implementing youth-friendly policies and programs. So before we get started with an overview of the resource, which you are all here to learn about, we're going to take a poll. I hope you're ready. So get your fingers, or hopefully your fingers are ready to take the poll, or your gadgets. So let me launch this poll. I think we have about 4 questions. It's just to help me know who is here. All right. Once you can see the poll, give me a thumbs up or say yes in the chat box. But I've launched the poll, so please answer. I want to see a thumbs up or a yes in the chat box to make sure that the poll is live. The first question is, where are you joining us from today? In terms of what continents you're joining us from. Africa, Europe, North America, Asia, or another continent. Maybe you're in Australia. Please let us know. If you cannot see the poll, maybe you type into the chat box. I'm not seeing any responses. So are we having difficulty with the poll? Let me know if you cannot see the poll, because I can see it on my end, but I'm not seeing anybody respond. Okay, great. One person has responded. Okay, so I think people can see the poll. All right, the first question is, where are you joining us from today? Second question is, have you ever attended a UN meeting before? The third question is, what's your main reason for joining this launch? The fourth question, which is the last question, is, which UN meeting are you most interested in attending in the future? Which UN meeting are you most interested in attending in the future? All right, we have 6 out of 7 participants. Can I get 7 out of 7? And I'm not sure why it's only giving me 7 participants, because aside from me, we should have 9 of you on here, or at least 8 more people. Okay. All right, I'm going to end it now. Going once, going twice. Who's my 7th person? Okay, so we have 85% participation rates, and I'm going to end it now. So 100% of us are from Africa or are tuned in from Africa. So that's good. because we have, well, this guide is actually geared towards youth in Africa that are trying to engage globally. All right. Have you attended a UN meeting before? Oh, let me end the poll so you can see the results. Yes, so have you attended a UN meeting before? We have two out of every one of us here have attended in person. One out of us has attended virtually. 50% of us have not attended, but you want to. And then we have, okay. Then the third question is, what's your main reason for joining this launch? Most of you say to learn how to navigate UN meetings. Others say to get inspired for future opportunities, to network with other youth leaders, and to access the new guide. Why is it only one person that wants this guide? Okay, well, I guess the rest of you are not going to get the guide. I'm just going to find out who this one person is and send the guide to this one person, because I've taken my precious time, in addition to the designer who is also on here, to develop this guide, but only one of you wants to get the guide. No wahala. You hear me talk today, and then I'll just say bye. All right. And then the last question is, which UN meeting are you most interested in? And many of you are saying UNGA, and UNGA is happening right now. So for those of you who are not participating, you're in for a treat, because I can share access to where you can watch virtually, even if you're not live in New York. So maybe next year you can plan to be in New York. So most of you want to participate in UNGA, followed by the Commission on the Status of Women. And I hope you know what each of these meetings mean and what they're talking about. That's part of what we're going to tell you in the guide. Like, you need to make sure you do your research so that you know the right meeting that you want to attend. Oh, it's now I'm sharing the results. So I'm sorry if you guys couldn't see it while I was talking, but I think now you can see the results. I saw some chats and I wasn't paying attention. Oh yeah, oh, Jutomi, you're the one that wants the guide. Okay, so you're the only one that gets the guide. But it looks like Excel also wants the guide. No problem. We'll give you a chance to redeem yourself for those of you that didn't mention you want the guide. Jutomi says that's why you came. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And I'll make sure I don't waste your time. We're going to go right into the guide so that you get to know what is in this guide and ask questions. And my hope is that if there are any gaps, any information that you see we've not covered in the guide, but you think will be helpful, please definitely let me know. One observation that we have is that the guide needs to be translated, because I would have loved for our Francophone African leaders to be here. But moi, my français, un peu, very little French. Unfortunately, I've not mastered the art of speaking French fluently, but I'm working on it. But the next step is we're actually going to translate this guide based on your feedback. If there are no corrections, we're just going to move it to translate into French language. So I'm really excited because we want to be inclusive and we don't want to leave our Francophone partners behind. All right, awesome. Thank you all for taking our poll. The next item on the agenda is an overview of the resource guide. So before I go into the overview, I would like to welcome or introduce a young lady who is dear to my heart. Her name is Jola Praise Ademola. She is the designer of this beautiful resource book. I mean, I think this young lady is so talented, but I want to give her a chance, maybe like 2 to 3 minutes, to introduce herself to you all and tell you about her process for developing this, or anything on your mind, Jola. I know I didn't tell you to be prepared. I hope you can speak, but I want to give you a chance to use your voice to just talk about what it meant for you to develop this guide with me and what you hope it accomplishes for young people. So in 2 to 3 minutes, if you can speak, I'm going to stop sharing now. Jola, over to you. And I hope we can see your face.
Thank you so much, Mama. This is really better. I didn't know I was going to speak about the proper makeup that I should do for someone who has contributed to
Is it just me, or is your volume low?
Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me better?
Oh, but maybe it's my end.
Okay, please confirm you can hear me.
Perfect. I can hear you
loud and clear. So
it was my side. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Someone else in the chat said she can't hear me.
Oh, someone can hear?
How about now?
I can hear you.
Hear me now?
It's breaking, but we can.
Oh, my network.
But go
It's
ahead. I can hear you.
breaking.
I think it's getting better.
Okay. Okay. Apparently that I can't turn on my video. I would have so I would have prepared for it. But thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share what my process was designing this. I really, really want to appreciate the founder, Mrs. Oye, for the opportunity she gave me. I was quite hesitant, and just today I made a post about it. I was hesitant to take on the project. I was going through a lot at the time, mentally, and even, physically, socially, everything. But she encouraged me to do it, and then I soon realized that the project was, you know, bigger than myself, bigger than her, even though she's the, the brain box behind it. And I when I was creating it, I just realized that she just created a guide that democratized the United Nations. Like anyone can access it. And the fact that she added African youth to the title is really a big thing because for me, what I usually see on TV and what I'm usually accustomed to is seeing a lot of foreigners occupy these meetings. It's not for now that we get to see a lot of young influencers, coming from Nigeria, from Africa. But it's important that the title is also bearing that fact that we as African youths, as Black people, we can be part of, global platforms like this. And I can't wait to see what everyone. I can't wait to see how the testify to using the guide, using this resource to step boldly into global spaces like the United Nations and other high level meetings. I'm so glad. I'm very excited to have worked on the project. I feel like it's a big win for me because I recently came associated myself with the idea of being a social impact designer. So working on this project is like a really, really big plus to me, and I am grateful for the opportunity. Again, I want to say thank you, Mrs. Onye, and God bless you. God bless the Adolescent and Youth Engagement Hub. Thank you for all that you do, and I pray that God will continue to lift you from glory to glory. Amen. Thank you so much for joining the call, everyone.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, Jola. And it's really my desire and my prayer and my hope that you blow because the world needs to see this talent. And let me just share. I guess now it's not going to be a secret if I share it with all of you, but because you're on here, I'll just share it with you. My next step is I actually really want to get this handbook to UNFPA and see what's possible. Anyway, let me just leave it at that. But I know there's a lot going on in the global space right now. All these UN organizations, things are happening because of one president. One president, I'm not that's going to go unnamed. He's just turning the whole world upside down. But I am hopeful that young people will continue to have a place in the United Nations and that the United Nations system will continue to work for young people. Okay, thank you so much, Jola. I'm really excited for this project and you did a very beautiful job. Well, let me not be the only one to say beautiful. You all will see the resource like now and you get to tell me what you think about it. And Jola is also here. And I've also invited a couple of young people to share their experience attending UN meetings because, hey, what's a launch about UN meetings without hearing from those who have actually been there? Aside from me, I've attended a couple, but I think it's always good to hear from people actually based in Africa who were able to travel because I get a privilege because I'm Nigerian American. I have my US passport. I don't have to navigate visa processes, but I am familiar with the process. But I have amazing young people who have gone through the visa process, traveling from Nigeria, from other parts of the world to New York to be able to participate in these meetings. So I would love for you to hear from them once I've given the overview of the document. All right. So sit tight as we delve into why you're here. And at any point you're inspired by by what you see, please put an emoji, a comment in the chat box. It will just encourage us because this was what do you call it? A service of love. It's a passion project. Nobody paid me to do this. I just wanted to do it, and we'll see where it goes from here. So It'll be good to feel encouraged. So I hope you can all see my screen. You can see the title page. So this is really what the document looks like, the title page. If you can see it, give me a thumbs up and I'll move forward. Okay, I just want to make sure technology is working. Okay, thanks, Jola. So this is a guide that will help you navigate a UN meeting, whether it's UNGA or any other meeting. And ideally, these are meetings that are based in New York. So most of the content will talk about how do you prepare for traveling from your country to New York. And in this guide, we have things like applying for a visa, what to pack and what to wear, and the UN experience, how it actually feels to be in the UN, what to expect. Okay, so let's get into it. Why does this guide matter? Why did I think it was important to write out these practical steps? So I'll just read this summary that is found in the guide. The United Nations holds high-level meetings throughout the year to address global issues and to review progress on international commitments like the Sustainable Development Goals, which I hope most of you are familiar with. Participating in a high-level meeting at the United Nations headquarters in New York, such as the High-Level Political Forum, which happened in July, Commission on the Status of Women, which happens in March, or the UN General Assembly, which is happening right now, can be a transformative opportunity for young people. These gatherings bring together government officials, civil society members, and global change makers to assess the progress on sustainable development goals and shape future development policies. Youth participation in these meetings is very critical to ensuring that young people's voices, your experiences, and your solutions are meaningfully included in global decision making. For African youths in particular, your voice and your lived experiences are essential in shaping the global agenda. Jola mentioned when she was speaking that many times you see people that are not people of color or of African descent in these meetings. And a lot of times African youth feel like the UN is not a space for them. What we're trying to do with this guide is to show you that the UN can be a space for you, and it is a space for you, but you just have to make sure you're prepared and you plan in advance. The people you see attending these meetings, it didn't happen by accident. Maybe there are a handful of people that because they know somebody, they just call them and say, hey, do you want to go to the UN tomorrow? And they're able to get there. There are a few of those kind of people. But people like us, we have to really plan and we have to know why we want to be in these spaces in the first place. So we want to make sure that you know that the UN is a place for you. I know many times you ask yourself, oh, what do I want to be when I grow up as a child? And you think the UN might be too aspirational. But I want you to leave here today believing that, yes, you too can actually be a speaker in a UN meeting. And then hopefully one day you can be the one leading the meeting as the Director General of the United Nations. What do they call it? What's Antonio Guterres's position, or the Deputy Director or the Executive Director of UNFPA? So this guide is designed to help you prepare for and meaningfully engage when you get to these spaces before, during, and after the meeting. All right? Great. Let me see what's in the chat. The Secretary General, yes, exactly. The Secretary General of the United Nations. So who knows, one of you might become the Secretary General in a few years, and you're going to probably call me and say, Onyinye, thank you so much for this guide. See what it has done in my life. I hope that's your testimony. All right. Okay. So before the meeting, I'm just going to skim through this because, like I said, we have this available in PDF form, and we will publish this and share it with all of you so you have access to it. So we want you to start early and plan ahead. For those of you based in Africa, you have to get a visa to be able to come to the United States. And if you've never traveled abroad before, it can be quite tedious to get the visa. So we talk about like starting early, like 6 to 12 months in advance. So if you want to attend UNGA next year, you need to start now, because you're going to think about funding. How are you going to fund yourself? Where are you going to stay? What topics are you even interested in? What topics would they be talking about? And let me backtrack a bit. Why does this matter? Why should you be thinking about attending the UN meeting right now? Because we have the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and they're supposed to expire, quote unquote, in 2030. So the idea is between now and 2030, there are going to be a lot of meetings happening with different countries, with the UN leadership to ascertain what has been done, what are the gaps, are we going to extend the SDGs beyond 2030? And you want to be part of those conversations so you can report on your country. In Liberia, how are youths carried along? Have we achieved quality education? Have we achieved gender equality? Are we partnering with young people? So you want to be able to feed into the next steps. What happens after 2030? So you have some time to engage, even if you've never been part of these meetings before. So we talk about how you need to understand the meeting's purpose. Trust me, it is overwhelming to attend a UN high-level meeting. There's so much going on, and I'm sure Funam will tell you more about just how to mentally prepare yourself for this space. And let me also say, today's meeting is just scratching the surface. The goal is that you will have this resource, you will read through the resource, and then you'll come back to me or any leader of a youth organization that you know to ask for more specifics. Because if I tell you about understanding the meeting's purpose, where are you going to find the meeting purpose? You might not know where to access it, but those of us that have been in this space, we can direct you. Or if we talk about things like budget and fundraising, how do you know who to reach out to for money? But when you come to me, I can tell you how I funded my last trip. I was in New York in July and I didn't pay. Well, I paid with my money, but I'm getting reimbursed. Fingers crossed that the people that promised to reimburse me will reimburse me. But you can get reimbursed, or you can even get paid to participate and represent youth voices. Well, not paid, but you can get sponsored to be there. So this document will tell you what you need, but for the more specifics and the follow-up, I expect that you will reach back out, and we're happy to work with you so that next year you can start participating in person or virtually, because sometimes you might not want to travel or you might not have all the money to travel, but you can still let your voice be heard virtually. So we talk about how do you secure an invitation and an access pass. The UN is not your father's house, well, quote unquote, because you will need access pass to get there. There are lots of police officers in New York. Especially now, it's even getting more and more intense with security. So you have to have an access pass, and it's not just any paper they give you. It's a paper, or it's not paper, it's a card that they've already done your background check and everything to make sure that you're not going to be a threat to the meeting or the United States. So all of these things take a process, and that's why you have to start early. Even getting a letter of invitation that you present when you get to New York. There's so much, there's a lot. I don't want to overwhelm you. Like I said, I want you to know that the UN is accessible to you, but you have to plan and plan well in advance. We also cover like how to apply for a US visa, and doing your homework. There are SDG progress reports that you should read, because different meetings have different agendas. Like the meeting I attended in July, they were focused on like five of the SDGs. So looking at gender equality, looking at climate action, looking at partnerships, and I think maybe the one on technology. Was it technology or agriculture? I'm mixing it up, but they have specific topics that they cover. So you want to make sure that you're even going to a meeting that you care about the issues they're going to be talking about, okay? And something you should know is that only ECOSOC accredited organizations can fully participate in UN meetings. And what do I mean by fully participate? If you want to give a presentation at the UN, if you want to speak, you need to be affiliated with an organization that has ECOSOC status. And these are things that we can also explain to you, or how do you even locate an organization that has that status? When you reach out, we can definitely put you in contact with the right organizations. If you're not affiliated with an ECOSOC organization, there are ways you can still be in New York and attend some events there, but you won't have access into the UN building. Whenever these UN meetings are happening, there are so many things happening around them. So if you're not able to go into the UN headquarters, you can attend several side events, because UNFPA has its office around the UN headquarters, UNICEF, the Ford Foundation. So many different organizations have things that are going on the sidelines. So if you don't get a pass, but you happen to find yourself in New York and you want to attend, there are ways that you can still connect with what's happening around. I hope that makes sense. All right. So for the sake of time, I'm just going to quickly skim through. And then, like I said, you will have this document to read. And I really want you to read it. Like I said, we took our precious time. We tried not to make it too bulky or too jargony because we want it to be easily understood. So I hope as you're seeing it, you can confirm that the language is easily understood because we want this to be very useful for you. I don't want to give you a document that you're not going to be able to read. So we even talk about what should you pack and how should you dress. The UN can be a place for you to show your fashion sense, especially also to show your cultural heritage. So you can always feel free to wear your cultural outfit, but you also want to keep in mind the weather for when you're coming. Like those people that are in New York right now, it's not cold, but it might be cool on some days. We're getting into the winter season. So if you're attending a meeting like in November, December, January, it's very cold in New York. So you want to know to pack like jackets and other things to keep yourself warm. But if you're coming in the summertime, it can be very, very hot. Like when I was in New York in July, it was hot. Like, oh my goodness, hot. You guys think living in Africa is hot? When you come here, climate change is really doing something in the US. So in the summertime, it can get very hot. So you want to know how to dress and what to pack. So we include that. And essential documents you cannot forget because the last thing you want to do is travel all the way from Nigeria to New York and you cannot get into the UN building because you did not bring your ID card or your passport. Hopefully you had your passport to get on the plane, but you don't want to lose these things or even your invitation letter because that's how you get in if you don't have a copy of your invitation letter. But these days things are easy because you have electronic access and you can always download these documents. All right, so this is what to pack in the guide. We also talk about during the meeting. Don't be the person that just goes to the meeting to sit down there and just listen. And then even when we ask you what happened, you don't recall what happened because the information was just passing through your head. You didn't understand. You have to understand how do you arrive early enough? How do you locate the rooms? Because the UN headquarters has so many meeting rooms. You have to know which room is having your specific meeting. And then when you're supposed to pick up your badge, so many things. So just when you read through this guide, it's going to take you through the process. And then the program, they usually have the agenda online. You can print it ahead of time, but many times I've noticed that the UN, they can wait till the last minute to have things available online. So you might not be able to print it ahead of time, but like 2 days or a day before the meeting, it should be available online so you can take notes of what meetings you want to attend. There are some WhatsApp groups that some people start, and it makes it easier for you to navigate. Like if you know an organization, for example, civil society in Nigeria, I'm familiar with the Nigerian civil society organizations. Whenever the minister, like for the last meeting in July, the minister was not minister, the special advisor to the president on the SDGs was attending, and there's a civil society group for all civil society representatives that are attending the meeting. That was the high-level political forum. So in that WhatsApp group, you get live updates about, oh, this meeting has been pushed back, or the minister is speaking now. This is what you need to do. Like, so it's always helpful if you can be part of a WhatsApp group because it will give you up-to-date information. And that's why we also created a WhatsApp group for this resource guide, because there might be a time when many of you will be attending and it will be good for us to stay in touch and also just provide updates on what's happening. So yes, we talk about how to engage actively. How do you network with people? I know it can look very intimidating if you've never traveled and you're in a room filled with people that are speaking big English. You're not even sure, can you even say hello? But we talk about how do you introduce yourself with confidence? How do you share your experience? Because at the end of the day, coming to the UN should really be about you sharing your experience. One of my takeaways from attending the high-level political forum in July was that we need more storytellers than speech writers or people that just read their speeches. I need you to come and tell me how you struggled to get an education in your village and why quality education matters now, why you're an advocate for quality education, or you had a pregnancy as a teenager. And because of the stigma you faced, you're now advocating for comprehensive sexuality education or climate change. The women in your community are suffering. You're seeing children die from malnutrition. You're seeing that the river that you used to go and fetch water from no longer is a river. It has dried up. Like, we need you to tell these stories, because that is what will move our decision makers. They are so used to people coming and speak and say, oh, 1 in 10 women is affected by climate change. The world reports that, da, 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 that's like you're reading news. They are not here to hear a news story. I want to know, like, how is this impacting your life? What can I do as a UN leader to make a difference for girls in your community, for boys in your community? So when you do your homework and you show up with your story to tell, you will end up feeling like you actually had a productive trip and you actually made impact. Okay, I hope that's making sense. Okay, so the document also talks about after the meeting, what should you do? How do you follow up? So actually, this launch we're having is a personal deliverable that I told myself I was going to have after I attend the meeting. I told myself that this is not going to be another one of those meetings I just attend. I take pictures, I post on Facebook and WhatsApp, and people are like, "Oh, Nini, I want to be like you when I grow up." And I'm like, "No, like I need something concrete to come out of it." So this is one of the ways I am I'm following up after the meeting I attended in July. It's about documenting what I learned and inspiring other people who want to do the same thing that I did. And how do you stay engaged? There are so many mailing lists you can stay involved with. You can join certain groups so that during the next meeting, you're not caught off guard, and I even get information before it's published online most times, because you have some secret access now because of the networks that you made. We also talk about contacting the UN for disability support. The UN is an inclusive space, but if you don't plan well, they will not accommodate your needs. So if you have a disability or you require any special accommodations, there are resources for you. So we provide an email address for you to reach out to. And if you need further support, we can always put you in touch with the right offices. But we want to make sure that young people know that whether or not you have a disability, the UN is accessible to you. All right, okay. And then we have a frequently asked questions page. Questions such as, like, who attends the UN meetings? Can I attend as an individual youth without an organization? How can I get an invitation or access pass to attend? And then, is there a limit on how many young people they want to see at the UN? Which usually there's not the limit, but depending on the meeting, they might let you know that there are only spots for a few speakers or youth speakers or things like that. But in general, there's usually not a quota for young people. What if I don't get a visa on time? That's another question that we answer. And many times the answer is that you can still participate virtually, or maybe you can come for some part of the meeting towards the end, but still make sure that you're able to have a valuable experience. So you don't fly all the way because you got your visa late and it's not productive. But part of why we're doing this now is if you need to get a visa, you need to start on time. And the US, I know the US has made it extra, extra difficult to get a visa now, but knowing knowing how to start early will make the difference for you. How do I fund my trip? I feel like I'm becoming an expert in finding ways to to get money. But I mean, I still need some money though, but I have ideas on how to get money. So those are some of the questions we answer. And then lastly, as I wrap up, before I give the space to young people for you to hear from others, I just want you to know that your voice matters. Really, that's the premise for this guide. Whether you feel like you've not gone beyond your community where you are, you've not even traveled to another state in Nigeria, I want you to know that your voice matters. You are not just a future leader. You keep hearing a president say, oh, our young people are future leaders of Nigeria. No, 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 no. Lie. You are a current leader. Where you are right now, even showing up for this meeting shows that you are a leader. So I want you to know that you are a leader and you're shaping today's decisions. With only 5 years left until the end of the Sustainable Development Goals era, we need bold, informed, authentic, and inclusive youth participation at every level. And this guide is your first step to actually making sure that your voice is heard. So let's show up prepared and let's continue to stay engaged for impact. Remember, the key point is that you need to start early. Visa applications, looking for money, registering, you need to start early. And then you need to be purposeful. Know your role and what you want to contribute. It's not just about going to sit down and take pictures at the UN. That is nice, but you're there for a bigger purpose. You're there to share your story. You're there to make a difference for your community, for your nation. And then you want to represent well. You're carrying the voice of your community. So you need to show up informed, respectful, and confident. Okay? So with these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that you belong at a UN high-level meeting and your voice matters. Okay? So that is the end of my presentation. And we also share some of the examples of meetings that you can participate in New York and some of the UN terms that you should be familiar with. All right? So yes, what do you think about the design? So let's give some praise to our designer, the beautiful and talented Jola Praise Ademola. So thank you. Thank you for listening. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. And for those of you that are interested, if you've already joined the AYE Hub, the Navigating UN Meetings WhatsApp, I'll be posting this guide soon after this meeting ends. But if you haven't joined, please drop your email, or if you want to also get it via email, please drop your email in the chat box. I will go through the chat box and we will email out a copy of this to you. And really, a lot of hearts went into this document. So please read it. Please share it. Yes, when you get it, please share it. We want you to broadcast this across your networks because the new executive director of the UNFPA is going to get this document. And I'm going to try to convince her that we need to prepare young people more to engage in these spaces. So thank you for listening to me. Let me see what's in the chat. Okay. All right. Any questions? Is there a quick burning question before I ask Funom to tell us about her experience attending a UN meeting? Okay, I'm checking the chat box. I don't see any questions. Okay, Funom, please, do you mind just sharing with us like your first experience attending a UN meeting and anything else you think young people should know, especially young African leaders should know when they want to be part of these conversations? The floor is yours, Funom.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me? Can we
Yeah.
confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes,
Sorry, I can't. Sorry, I can't turn on my video at the moment. But my name is Funomi Akubo. And I've been privileged to attend two United Nations meetings. But I will speak about my first one because I feel like I was way more prepared for the second one after attending the first one. So my first time attending the UN meeting was for CSW in March, and it was overwhelming. First things first, I got my visa at the nick of time. In fact, it was exactly 1 week to when I was supposed to travel that I got my visa. Yeah. So that was the first thing. And I don't know if I don't know if that was the reason why I felt very rushed in preparing. Because at that point it was a decision between ensuring I had my flight and accommodation and every other thing in between, yeah, because you would not want to pay for something when you're not sure you're going to get the visa. And mind you, the first time I put out an application for my visa was in 2023. I wanted to attend the Youth um, Summit of the Future, yeah. So that's
Oh, Funom, I'm sorry, you're breaking up a bit. We just heard when you talked about you wanted to
young
attend the Summit of the Future.
people.
Yeah.
The date for 20. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. You're back. Thank you.
Okay, so I was saying that I wanted to attend the summit
Sorry, is everybody else having a challenge hearing now?
23, and that was the first time paying for me to get, and I was given the date 2026, so applying in 2023 but getting for something that I needed to have in the
Okay, looks like she's having some network challenges, but I think she's coming back on. Just let's be patient. Funam, are you back?
Yes, I am back.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't know I was locked off. Can you hear me now?
Yes, but your network has been fluctuating. So can you start from where you said you wanted to attend the Summit of the Future?
Okay, so I wanted to attend the Summit of the Future in 2023, but I was given the date for 2026. So this is something that some of us might face. Some of us will be lucky to get dates as quickly as possible in time for whatever it is we want to attend. That's why when Oniye says it's important that you start early, it's very important that you start early, right? Because I missed the Summit of the Future, the original purpose for, even applying for the visa, right? But when the opportunity, we know that CSW happens. Can you still hear me so that I don't talk too far and then I am being cut off? Can you still hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah,
can hear
we're
you.
hearing you.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, awesome. Okay, so but we knew that CSW was going to be happening in March, and so we tried to reduce the wait time for interview, right? And so what will usually happen is that you are going to have to request for an expedited date. Now, according to the US website, the US visa website, right? Attending meetings like the UN, the UN meetings is not a reason for expediting it, right? The only time when they will consider expediting it is if you have a specific purpose to play, right? Not just attending. So, for instance, you are speaking at a panel, you need to address the General Assembly, or you are doing something specific, right? You are the one that is, you are planning an event, a lot of money has gone into it already. Then they will consider reducing your wait time, right? And so I got a visa date an interview date that was a week and a half or 2 weeks to when I was supposed to travel. And then I went for the interview. Of course, that was very stressful emotionally and mentally because you're just like, the office has already paid for this process. I need this thing to, I need to meet someone who will listen to me and take me seriously and give me the visa so that I can attend this, right? And so you would know also immediately from the consulate if you got it or not, right? They will just tell you straight on so that they don't stress you anymore emotionally. So it's always good news to hear. Congratulations! We've approved your visa. You can pick up at so date and blah blah blah, right? And so now once I had settled on the visa issue, I needed to actually plan. And so you have to book your flights, of course. If you are going to be booking a flight, it has to be to JFK so that you are not taking another local flight when you get to another airport to JFK, right? It is also advised that you pick a hotel that is very close. If you have sponsorship anyway, it's always advised that you pick an hotel that is very close to where you are going to or where the UN house is, right? And this is important because so you're not spending extra money on cab fares. Onye will tell you that New York is a very expensive city, right? So if you are taking one of those yellow cabs, just by entry, you're already being charged $10. You've not gone anywhere, you're already being charged $10. So it's always advisable for you to get an hotel that is very close to the UN house. However, I understand, like in my situation, the first time I was going there, and considering how busy New York was going to be during March because of CSW, I couldn't get hotels that were very close by because they were all booked out. Because everyone from everywhere was attending CSW, right? And so I did a lot of walking. My hotel was somewhere around Times Square, and I was going towards the UN house, which is on, I don't know, 43rd. I don't know what street it is on, which is a lot of walking, right? But if you don't mind it, I mean, it's something you can do. You get to count your steps in. You are going to do a lot of walking, so you need to wear comfortable shoes that will not pain you if you have to walk for like an hour or do 10,000 steps just going and 10,000 steps coming back, right? Yeah, another thing that I had to consider was selecting what event or what sessions I wanted to attend. Now, the those UN meetings are usually divided into three types, right? The sessions, three types. We have the main meetings which happen within the UN house, all of the different rooms. We have parallel meetings, I think, or side events. I don't know which one is which now. We have side events or parallel meetings which also happen within the UN house, and we have others that are planned outside, right? Because I remember with Malala Fund, their side events happened way outside the UN, part at 70-something street. So you also have to consider that. And why is this important? Because if my first meeting is going to be at the UN house, right? And then the second one, which I have determined in my heart to attend, is 30-something streets away. I have to consider one, either walking there or two, spending money on cabs, right? So you need to really plan how you decide what meetings you want to attend. There were times during the CSW where I had to change my mind because it wasn't making sense to, walk all the way for this other meeting and then come back to the UN house. It's a lot of walking. So you just have to also give yourself grace to change your plan as you go, right? Because there were times when I was heading to another meeting, and then every room has like a screen that tells you what is happening inside, right? So just maybe the title of the session and who's hosting it, and then you can read the title, and you're like, oh, this sounds interesting, and then you just divert, and then you abandon the plan you made from the beginning, right? So that will also happen. It's normal. Another thing to note is that a lot of sessions happen simultaneously, right? So you could find 3 sessions that you are very interested in happening at the same time, like let's say between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. So now you are torn between, do I want to spend just 1 hour here so that I can also spend 1 hour in another place, or do I just forfeit one? It's a tussle, and I mean, for those of us who, especially if it's your first time, you feel like, oh, this is going to be my first and only opportunity to soak up, all of the experiences, and you'll be turned. I promise you'll be turned. But I mean, ultimately, you can just trust that wherever you are learning as you go, and you can maybe even find friends or make friends. That's another thing about networking. Make friends who would be attending the other session that you're interested in, so that you can just take their notes and at least get something from that session. What else do I want to cover? As someone with a very sensitive stomach, you should not be scared of New York, right? It's a melting pot. So if you are not comfortable with Americans' food, by Americans I mean Caucasians, white Americans, we have African Americans whose meals are similar to many of us. You have Indian, you have even Nigerian, right at the Nigerian house, which is very close to the end. It's like a 5 minutes walk, I think. You will find a food truck called Just Jollof. You'll be fine. You eat jollof rice and you'll be fine. There are food trucks everywhere. everywhere, right? So you always find food to eat. I also enjoyed food from places like Mona's Kitchen, which is also not far from the UN. So if you're considering places that are very close, so that you just come out of the UN and walk back in, those are some of the options. Um, Also, because of the way, I think this is going to be final thing. So I feel like I'm talking too much. So the final thing will be take opportunities, right? Grab opportunities. Now, because of the way the UN process is, a lot of things are structured. And what do I mean? They already know who is going to pick up the mic. You know those popular the General Assembly rooms that we see where their mics. When you think of the UN, those rooms that make you remember, oh, this is the UN. They already know to a very large extent people who are going to speak. So you need to be ready, always be ready, always be ready. Have an intervention that you are very, very interested in, ready. I would advise personally that you have a speech using UN language. It's diplomatic gibberish, I get it, but it will help you a lot so that when the opportunity comes, you just grab it, right? And then you can make an intervention that you would not listen to yourself afterwards and cringe, right? So I think that's important. Let me tell you why I'm saying this. So the time when I spoke, because I did speak at that room, I gave an intervention when I went to the CSW. And I didn't know I had that opportunity until when I was walking from a different side event to that session. From a different side event to that session. And at the whimper time, the woman at UN was like, "Are you ready? You're going to sit here, and when the mic turns red, you hit the speak button, and the time for 3 minutes. It's a pressure pot, but you would survive it, right? But imagine if I did not have what I wanted to say, the intervention I wanted to make, I would not have been able to give that intervention, right? Which is one of my highlights from CSW. So that's all. I think that's all I will share for now. Thank you, Onye.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much, Funam. And I really appreciate you for coming on last minute. Uh, sometimes I get this inspiration last minute. I'm like, oh no, there's certain people I should bring up here. And I'm glad to see Jola is saying you're not talking a lot because she has learned a lot. Excel is also giving you a heart. And like I said, there's a lot. There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to share. Trust me, we can have a 3-hour session on attending UN meetings and we're not going to be done. But I think this has reignited an interest, and maybe we can, part of what the AYE Hub would do is we might have a series of webinars where we really break down being involved in these meetings. And I think that will only be for people that we know for sure are really interested, because it takes a lot to invest in these meetings and to know what to do when you get there. So Funam, thank you so much for sharing. I think we have about 5 minutes before I have to hop off, but please, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop it in the chat or raise your hand. HEEKG, please go ahead and share. Please tell us your name.
Hi, sorry, Miss Enyi, it's Kesuwa.
Oh, Kisuwa. Okay, Eunice. Oh, great. Okay, Eunice, are you ready to share now?
Just
You
to
wanted to
add to
add?
what the lady said.
Okay.
The
Go
lady
ahead, and
said
then we'll go to
previously,
Jutomi.
aside being mindful of the language, make sure you are speaking something in relation to whatever you are saying. From my experience, before I enter any room, you are privy to the topic, you are privy to the information, the concept note is being shared. You have every other information. Read. Write down your intervention. Go there and read. Don't worry about your video. Don't worry about how to do it. No. The UN already have cameras all over that will capture you speaking. My dear, go and make sense for us. Just that's all you have to do. Take yourself some time, read, write down your intervention, make sure it's in sync, and go and speak it as bold as you can. don't go and be doing politics over there. UN is sorry, I'm at the library, so UN is a level ground for everybody to have an opinion. It is a level ground. Is it better now? It's a level ground for everybody to have an opinion. Your opinion matters just as the white person's opinion matters. So be bold with yours. It's not a fight. It's not African politics that we have to fight over it. No. Make your assertions as bold as you can, but make sure it is in sync with the concept notes being provided. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eunice. Eunice is my newfound friend from Ghana, and she also has extensive research, experience. But yeah, I think when we have our further webinars, I'll probably bring Eunice back to share more. Eunice and Funam. Okay. Jutomi, you had a question?
Hi, Oyen, and the rest of the team. Thank you so much for organizing such a unique event to talk about how we can navigate, these global opportunities, especially from the end of the UN. I am making my way home, so I'm going to be very brief because I don't want you to get, all the feedback behind me. But I really felt inspired listening to, all of the speakers, including you, Oyeyen. This is exactly what should be happening. There are tons of opportunities at the United Nations, and especially when it comes to youth representation, and also policies and laws that affect young people. We need to be in those spaces to speak out. But too often, then we really don't know how to make our way there. We do not even know sometimes as to whether those opportunities exist. And so, I mean, the God is really going to help from Liberia, West Africa. I think I'm going to be one of the ambassadors to ensure that we share the God with as many young people as possible to ensure that they too benefit from the many opportunities at the United Nations. In conclusion, last year I had the opportunity to visit the United Nations headquarters in New York. The Security Council was about to meet specifically the Committee on Disarmament. You know how we get used to our cell phones too much, and we go to meetings, sometimes we're on our mobile phones. But I actually got to know and learn that when you're in those spaces, you have to really dedicate your time and everything to the meeting, and they'll be looking at you. Sometimes they do not even allow you to play with your phone, so they can be very restricted. Over the years, one of the lessons that I've learned from these different platforms is following instruction. Like the United Nations headquarters, it's a complex, I'm telling you, a complex facility. You cannot even navigate it so easily. So you need to follow instruction at all time, and that has helped me over the years. So thank you for organizing this event, and I look forward to attending the next one. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Jutomio. Jutomio is my friend and colleague from back in the day, but he's an amazing young man doing big things. We're going to see him as president of Liberia very soon. And then I guess he's also going to take over the UN as Secretary General if none of you beats him to it. But thank you all. And you guys have inspired me that this project was worth doing. And now you've even inspired me to really try to get this resource to more hands and more hands that can actually do more with this in terms of we really need to be preparing young people. And it's not just by having this kind of virtual engagement. I think every country should have some kind of hub where we prepare young people to engage. Like I know Funam was selected out of, I wouldn't call it a contest, but young people had to pitch why they should go to the UN for the last high-level political forum. But a lot of young people don't have access to that information. They don't even know how to pitch their stories or the work that you're doing. So and I'm very passionate about just helping young people build their capacity. Like I guess I should say,
enhance their capacity, because I'm not really building it. We already have the capacity. It's just how do we amplify that and really actually believe in ourselves. I just realized it actually starts from believing that you have a space in the UN and that your voice matters. Then you can actually be articulate. Okay. If there's no pressing question, you all have access to me. I'm the one that has been sending messages on the platform on WhatsApp. I can also drop my AYE Hub email address, but I've seen your email addresses. So we will share the document with you, and please make sure you read it. Make sure you read it. See, there might be a prize in there somewhere for people that are actually reading it. So don't miss the prize. And let us know what you think. And as I said, the next step is to translate it to French. So if you know French speakers and you have friends that would want this document in French, let them know that we are working on it, and we'll keep you posted once that's available. Thank you so much. Once again, let's give a round of applause to Praise for her great work on the design. And at the AYE Hub, let me just do a closing thing. So you know what we do at the, actually, you know what we do at the AYE Hub. If you want to connect with us, you want to volunteer with us, let me know. And I look forward to seeing you at our next event. So take care. Enjoy the rest of your Monday evening. And please share the document with your friends. I will find a way to upload this recording and also make it available, because I know some people missed and will want to have access to the information. All right. Thank you, Queen. Thank you, Excel. Thank you all. All right. Toodles. See you later. Be safe and take a deep breath. Whew. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.